Welcome to KC Production. If you love world-class content in cinema, history, and human achievement, hit subscribe right now and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Also, like, share as well. We are KC Production and we bring you the world. From the stages of London to the studios of Rome, from the boulevards of Paris to the snowy landscapes of Scandinavia, Europe has produced some of the most extraordinary acting talent the world of cinema has ever witnessed. Today, we count down the top 40 European actors and actresses of all time, spanning 1960 to 2026. These remarkable performers are ranked on the number of films in their careers, the commercial success, and critical reception of those films, their appeal to audience across generations, their personal wealth and cultural legacy, and the achievements and struggles that have defined their extraordinary lives. All regions of Europe are represented. We begin at number 40 and build the greatest European screen performer of all time. Let's begin. At number 40, we open with the most exciting Polish actress of the modern era, Joanna Kulig. Born in Nowy Sad in 1982, Kulig blazed onto the international stage with Paweł Pawlikowski's Cold War in 2018, in which she played a fiercely magnetic folk singer across 15 turbulent years of 20th century European history. Her performance, luminous, physical, heartbreaking, earned her the title of the most talked about European actress of the year. In 2023, she appeared in Jonathan Glazer's Oscar-winning The Zone of Interest. Kulig is Eastern Europe's brightest contemporary screen star, and her career is still ascending. At number 39 is Kristen Scott Thomas, the Cornish-born actress who became equally celebrated in French. The Cornish-born actress who became equally celebrated in French and English language cinema, a genuinely rare achievement in European film. Born in 1960, Scott Thomas received her first international recognition in Four Weddings and a Funeral, and was Academy Award nominated for the English patent in 1997. In the French film I've Loved You So Long, she delivered a performance that won her the César Award for Best Actress. Fluent, elegant, and emotionally precise in two languages, she is one of the most distinguished and versatile performers in European cinema. At number 38 is Ralph Fiennes, one of British cinema's most rigorously intelligent and technically accomplished performers. Born in Ipswich in 1962, Fiennes received Academy Award nominations for both Schindler's List and The English Patient, playing monsters and lovers with equal terrifying command. His portrayal of Lord Voldemort in the Harry Potter franchise brought him to global audiences of hundreds of millions. As a director, he produced Coriolanus and The White Crow, the Revi story. Fiennes operates equally on stage and screen, and his combination of classical training and cinematic instinct makes him one of Britain's finest. At number 37 is Klaus Kinski, the most volatile, dangerous, and mesmerizing German actor in the history of European cinema. Born in what is now Gdańsk, Poland in 1926, Kinski's four collaborations with director Werner Herzog, Aguirre, The Wrath of God, Nosferatu the Vampire, Fitzcarraldo, and Wozzeck produced performances of insane, terrifying grandeur that no actor working in conventional frameworks could have created. His private life was deeply troubled and scarred by serious allegations of abuse, but his work with Herzog represents a ferocity of creative commitment that cinema rarely witnesses. He died in 1991. At number 36 is Romy Sklinder, the Austrian-born actress who was the most beloved female star in German and French cinema for 2 decades, and whose tragic personal life became inseparable from her luminous, heartbreaking screen presence. Born in Vienna in 1938, Skinder first rose to fame in the Sissi trilogy before breaking with that glided image to forge an extraordinary mature career in French art cinema. The Swimming Pool, César and Rosalie, Ludwig, and the Old Gun. She lost her son in a tragic accident in 1981 and died herself the following year at just 43 years of age. And number 35 is Chindo's Trintignant, one of the most quietly devastating screen presences in the history of French cinema. Born in Piolenc in 1930, Trintignant defined a certain French masculine restraint, cool, watchful, achingly precise, across 6 decades of remarkable film work. His award-winning performance as the husband watching his wife die in Haneken's Amor in 2012 stands as one of the great final chapters in any actor's career. He bore his working life against the backdrop of enormous personal tragedy, most painfully, the murder of his daughter, Mary, in 2003. He died in 2022 at 91. At number 34 is Michael Fassbender, the German-Irish actor who emerged as one of the most fearless and intellectually committed performers of each generation. Born in Heidelberg in 1977 and raised in Kerry, Ireland, Fassbender announced himself with Steve McQueen's Hunger and delivered one of the most physically demanding performances in recent cinema in McQueen's Shame. He received Oscar nominations for 12 Years a Slave and Steve Jobs, played Magneto across multiple X-Men films, and has demonstrated a range stretching from Shakespearean gravity to blockbuster command. He is among the finest actors of his era working in Europe. At number 33 is Monica Bellucci, the Italian actress who became one of the most internationally visible European stars of the 21st century. Crossing between Italian art cinema, Hollywood blockbusters, and European prestige productions with extraordinary ease. Born in Città di Castello in 1964, Bellucci's performance in Giuseppe Ciuntano's Melena in 2000 revealed a depth beneath the beauty that audiences worldwide recognized immediately. Her roles in The Matrix Reloaded, Irreversible, and as a Bond woman in Scepter gave her global reach. With a net worth exceeding $45 million and a career still active, Bellucci remains a defining European screen figure. At number 32, we have Tony Servillo, Italy's most celebrated and internationally respected contemporary actor and the face of Italian cinema's most significant international successes of the past 2 decades. Born in Alfragola, near Naples, in 1959, Servillo first worked extensively in theatre before forging a film career of extraordinary distinction. His performance as the aging Roman journalist in Sorrentino's The Great Beauty, which won the Academy Award for Best Foreign Language Film, is considered one of the finest of the decade. His collaboration with Paolo Sorrentino and Matteo Garrone has produced some of the most important Italian cinema of the modern era. And number 31 is Carmen Mora, the great Spanish actress at the heart of Pedro, Reputation, Almodovar's most celebrated films, and the performer who helped build his extraordinary reputation during the most creative decade of his career. Born in Madrid in 1945, Mora appeared in Almodovar's earliest films and reached international stardom with Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown in 1988, which brought Spain's new cinema to global attention. She won the European Film Award for Best Actress and the Sasa for Best European Actress. Her later return to Almodovar's Volver in 2006 was a reunion of rare tenderness and power. At number 30 is Vincent Cassel, France's most dangerous and magnetic leading man, equally at home in Paris Banuel cinema and Hollywood blockbusters. Born in Paris in 1996, Cassell burst onto the international scene with La Haine in 1995 and has since built a filmography of remarkable range. Irreversible, Eastern Promises with David Cronenberg, Darren Aronofsky's Black Swan, alongside Natalie Portman, and the magnificent two-part Measuring, in which he played France's most notorious criminal with explosive energy. An actor who brings genuine threat and intellectual complexity to every role, Cassell is one of contemporary European cinema's indispensable figures. At number 29 is Bruno Ganz, Switzerland's greatest actor and one of the supreme European screen performers of his era. Born in Zurich in 1941, Ganz built his reputation through collaborations with Wim Wenders, culminating in The Transcendent Wings of Desire in 1987, in which he played an angel watching over Berlin with immeasurable sorrow and tenderness. His portrayal of Adolf Hitler in Oliver Hirschberg's Downfall in 2004, a performance of terrifying, pathetic humanity, became perhaps the most discussed and imitated in 21st century cinema history. Ganz died in 2019, leaving behind a body of work of extraordinary depth and conscience. And number 28 is Sean Connery, the Edinburgh-born actor who gave the world James Bond. Won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for The Untouchables in 1987 and became one of the most globally beloved screen presences of the 20th century. Born in 1930, Connery's physical authority, dry wit, and unashamed Scottish persona made him unlike any other star of his era. From Dr. No to The Name of the Rose, from Indiana Jones to The Hunt for Red October, Connery brought distinction to every film he touched. Named Sexiest Man of the Century by People magazine, he died in 2020 with a net worth of over $350 million. And number 27 is Antonio Banderas, the Malaga-born actor who became the most internationally recognizable Spanish male star of his generation, and in the twilight of his career, revealed himself to be one of the finest dramatic actors in European cinema. Born in 1960, Banderas forged his talent through his early collaboration with Pedro Almodovar before becoming a Hollywood action icon. In 2019, his semi-autobiographical performance in Almodovar's Pain and Glory won him the Best Actor prize at the Cannes Film Festival, a recognition of a depth of artistry that his blockbuster career had sometimes obscured. His net worth exceeds $50 million. And number 26 is Liv Ullmann, Norway's greatest actress and the essential creative partner of Ingmar Bergman, whose films together form one of the most important actor-director collaborations in cinema history. Born in Tokyo in 1938 and raised in Norway, Ullmann worked with Bergman on 11 films, including Persona, Cries and Whispers, Scenes from a Marriage, Face to Face, and Autumn Sonata, receiving 2 Academy Award nominations and multiple Golden Globe Awards. Her ability to translate Bergman's most demanding psychological and emotional states into pure, unmeditated screen truth made her the greatest interpreter of his extraordinary vision. She later also became an acclaimed director herself. At number 25, we have Richard Burton, the coal miner's son from Pontryagin, Wales, who possessed arguably the greatest voice ever heard on the screen and who received 7 Academy Award nominations without ever winning. One of the most notorious oversights in Oscar history. Born in 1925, Burton's work in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Beckett, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, Echoes, and his final film, 1984, represents a sustained level of classical grandeur rarely matched. His tempestuous relationship with Elizabeth Taylor made him one of the most famous people alive, He died in 1984 at just 58. The stage and screen lost a titan. At number 24 is Mads Mikkelsen, the Danish actor who has become one of the most compelling and internationally in demand European performers of the 21st century. Born in Copenhagen in 1965, Mikkelsen first gained worldwide attention as a terrifying Lucifer in Casino Royale in 2006. His portrayal of a falsely accused schoolteacher in Thomas Vinterberg's The Hunt earned him the Best Actor prize at Cannes in 2012. His lead role in Vinterberg's Another Round in 2021 again demonstrated a rare ability to find shattering emotional truth with complete naturalness. He has since moved through Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Doctor Strange with complete authority. At number 23 is Dame Maggie Smith, one of the most beloved and decorated performers in the history of British cinema and theatre, whose career of extraordinary longevity introduced her to a new global audience every decade. Born in Lilford, Essex in 1934, Smith won her first Academy Award for the prime of Miss John Brodie in 1960. California Suite in 1978. Later, generations came to adore her as Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter and the caustic Dowager Countess in Downton Abbey. She continued working into her late 80s, making every audience she ever sat before love her completely. She died in 2024. And number 22 is Christoph Waltz, the Austrian actor who won 2 Academy Awards for Best Supporting Actor for his collaborations with Quentin Tarantino, becoming the first Austrian ever to receive that honor. Born in Vienna in 1956, Waltz spent decades working in European television before Tarantino cast him as the chillingly erudite SS Colonel Hans Lander in Inglourious Bastard in 2009, a performance that stunned Cannes audiences and won him the Palme d'Or for Best Actor. His equally witty Dr. King, Scots in Danjo Unchained earned him a second Oscar. Waltz plays menace and charm as two faces of the same perfectly controlled coin. And number 21 is Penelope Cruz, the first Spanish actress in history to win the Academy Award for supporting Best Actress for Woody Allen's Vicky Cristina Barcelona in 2008, and one of the most talented and versatile performers in European cinema. Born in Alcobendas, Madrid in 1974, Cruz has built a career of extraordinary range through her collaboration with Pedro Almodovar, All About My Mother, Volva, Parallel Mothers, and international films spanning Hollywood, Italy, and France. At the Cannes Film Festival, she has received both Best Actress recognition and standing ovations. With a net worth exceeding $55 billion, she remains one of Europe's most commanding screen presences. At number 20 is Peter O'Toole, the most nominated actor in Academy Award history never to win a competitive Oscar, who received 8 nominations and only an honorary award in 2003. Born in Connemara in 1932, O'Toole's portrayal of T.E. Lawrence in David Lean's Lawrence of Arabia remains one of the most iconic screen performances of the 20th century. Beautiful, reckless, and impossibly alive. He followed it with Beckett, The Lion in Winter, and a career of unbroken distinction across 5 decades, a combustible off-screen as he was brilliant on it. O'Toole was the last of cinema's great romantic hellraisers. He died in 2013. At number 19 is Marion Cotillard, the French actress whose portrayal of Edith Piaf in La Vie en Rose in 2007 won the Academy Award for Best Actress in one of the most total, physically, and emotionally all-consuming biographical performances in the history of the award. Born in Paris in 1975, Cotillard transformed herself so completely aging from 18 to 47 across the film, that she set a new standard for inhabiting a life rather than simply imitating it. She followed her Oscar with roles in Inception, The Dark Knight Rises, Midnight in Paris, and Rust and Bone, and remains France's most internationally celebrated contemporary actress. At number 18 is Gary Oldman, the most chameleonic actor in British cinema history, a performer of such total transformation that audiences often fail to recognize him from one role to the next. Born in New Cross, London in 1958, Oldman has played Sid Vicious, Lee Harvey Oswald, Beethoven, Dracula, Commissioner Gordon, Sirius Black, and Winston Churchill, winning the Academy Award for Best Actor for Darkest Hour in 2017. In Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, he delivered a masterclass in stillness and concealment. Oldman has repeatedly turned his entire physical being into a new instrument for each role, and he always plays it perfectly. At number 17 is Javier Bardem, Spain's greatest male actor and one of the most powerful and fearless screen performers of his generation. Born in Las Palmas, Gran Canaria in 1969, Bardem became the first Spanish actor ever nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actor for his portrayal of Cuban poet Ronaldo Enes in Before Night Falls. His terrifying dead-eyed Anton in No Country for Old Men won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in 2008. His Kane's Best Actor winning performance in Beautiful revealed a shattering emotional depth that placed him among the very finest actors alive. His net worth exceeds $30 million. At number 16 is Isabelle Huppert, the most prolific, critically acclaimed, and technically fearless actress in the history of French cinema. Born in Paris in 1953, Huppert holds the record for the most Best Actress wins at the Cannes Film Festival and has accumulated over 130 film and television credits across 5 decades of relentless work. Her Oscar nomination for Paul Verhoeven's Elle in 2016 introduced her to a new global generation. Michael Hanke's The Piano Teacher remains perhaps the most demanding female performance in European cinema of the 21st century. Huppert has never played it safe. In doing so, she has reached heights almost no actress before her has attained. At number 15 is Dame Emma Thompson, the only person in history to win Academy Awards for both acting and writing, making her uniquely distinguished even among cinema's elite. Born in London in 1959, Thompson won the Oscar for Best Actress for Howard's End in 1992 and Best Adapted Screenplay for Sense and Sensibility in 1995, a film she also starred in. Her performance in the HBO film Wit is one of British acting's finest hours. From The Merchant Ivory Wall to Harry Potter, from romantic comedy to devastating drama, Thompson's intelligence, wit, and emotional openness have made her one of the most beloved figures in British cultural life. At number 14 is Max von Sydow, the Swedish actor whose towering mournful presence made him one of the most distinctive and internationally respected European actors of the 20th century. Born in London in 1929, von Sydow worked with Ingmar Bergman on 11 films, including The Seventh Seal, in which his chess game with death became one of cinema's most iconic images. He then crossed to Hollywood, appearing in The Exorcist, Hannah and Her Sisters, Flash Gordon, and finally Star Wars. The Force Awakens at the age of 86. His career spanned 7 decades and more than 100 films. He died in 2020. At number 13 is Alain Delon, the most beautiful and most dangerous leading man in the history of French cinema, and a performer of almost frighteningly concentrated screen magnetism. Born in Squeaks in 1935, Delon defined a particular European ideal of masculine cool across more than 80 films: The Samurai, Purple Noon, The Leopard Opposite Burt Lancaster, and Rocco and His Brothers. He received an honorary Palme d'Or at Cannes in 2019, where he remained as divisive as ever. With a net worth estimated at over $200 million, Delon's off-screen life was as dramatic as any role he ever played. He died in 2024. And number 12 is Kate Winslet, one of the most outrageous, courageous, technically accomplished, and consistently excellent actresses in European cinema history. Born in Reading, Berkshire in 1975, Winslet was nominated for the Academy Award an extraordinary 6 times before winning Best Actress for The Reader in 2008, becoming one of the youngest multiple nominees in Oscar history. From the global phenomenon of Titanic to the delicate complexity of Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, from Steve Jobs to her Emmy-winning performance in Mare of Easttown, Winslet has refused every comfortable choice, always choosing challenge, always delivering something completely her own. At number 11 is Ingrid Bergman, one of the most gifted and complex actresses of the 20th century, and the only performer to have won Academy Awards across 4 separate decades. Born in Stockholm in 1915, Bergman won Oscars for Gaslight, Anastasia, and Murder on the Orient Express. She is most beloved as Lisa in Casablanca, perhaps the most iconic female role in Hollywood history. Her courageous choice to leave Hollywood for Roberto Rossellini in 1950, and the public scandal that followed revealed an artist who lived as dangerously and truthfully as she performed. Her late collaboration with Bergman in Autumn Sonata is devastating. She died in 1982. At number 10 is Juliette Binoche, the French actress who has won the top acting prizes at the Academy Awards, Cannes, Berlin, and Venice, an achievement unique in the history of world cinema. Born in Paris in 1964, Binoche first achieved international recognition through Kieslowski's Three Colors, Blue, a performance of devastating inner stillness. Her Oscar came for Anthony Minghella, The English Patient. At Cannes, she won Best Actress for Abbas Kiarostami's Certified Copy. Binoche brings to every role a luminous, deeply thoughtful presence that communicates complex emotion without words, and she continues to work at the absolute peak of her considerable powers. At number 9 is Michael Caine. Sir Michael Caine, a working-class South London boy who became one of the most enduring, most beloved, and most decorated actors in the history of British cinema, accumulating 2 Academy Awards and more than 130 film credits across 7 decades. Born Maurice Micklethwaite in 1933, Caine transformed Alfie and the Ice Press File into British cultural touchstones in the 1960s and won his Oscars for Hannah and Her Sisters and the Cider House roles. His collaborations with Christopher Nolan, The Dark Knight trilogy, The Prestige, Inception, Interstellar gave him a global audience across a new century. His net worth exceeds $80 million. At number 8 is Jean-Paul Belmondo, the most beloved male star in the history of French cinema, and the actor whose grinning, scrappy, physically impressible presence defined an entire era of European film. Born in Neuilly-sur-Seine in 1933, Belmondo became a global icon through Godard's A Bow de Souffle in 1960, a role that simply was not acting in any conventional sense. He was the coolest person alive on screen, and for 2 decades he was France's biggest box office star, performing his own stunts in richest action adventures. Alongside his art cinema career, he received an honorary César and a Palme d'Or for his life's work. He died in 2021. And number 7 is Dame Helen Mirren, the most revered British actress of her generation, Oscar winner for The Queen, and a performer of such technical brilliance and personal authority that she has commanded every stage, screen, and generation she has entered. Born Elena Murphy in London in 1945 to a Russian-born father, Mirren spent decades in the Royal Shakespeare Company before making the screen her own. Her work in the television series Prime Suspect redefined what a female detective drama could be. At the Academy Awards, she won Best Actress for her extraordinary portrayal of Queen Elizabeth II, with a net worth exceeding $100 million. Helen Mirren is a British national treasure in the fullest sense. At number 6 is Marcello Mastroianni, the definitive Italian leading man and the face of the most celebrated era of Italian cinema. Born in Fontana Liri in 1924, Mastroianni's collaborations with Federico Fellini, La Dolce Vita, Eight and a Half, created two of the most enduring images in cinema history. He received three Academy Award nominations and won prizes at Cannes, Berlin, and Venice with a catalogue spanning comedy, tragedy, and surrealism. But what made Mastroianni unique was something no technical achievement can capture: a warmth, a wariness, a self-deprecating intelligence that made every character he played feel like a real and profoundly lovable human being. He died in 1996. At number 5 is Sir Anthony Hopkins, the Welsh actor who delivered arguably the most chilling performance in the history of cinema as Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, and who at the age of 83 became the oldest Best Actor winner in Academy Award history for The Father. Born in Port Talbot, Wales in 1937, Hopkins studied under Laurence Olivier and has built a six-decade career of ferocious intelligence and technical precision. The remains of the day, Nixon, Amistad, and the two popes demonstrate the range beyond Lecter's shadow. His net worth exceeds $160 million. He remains one of the most compelling actors alive, and he is still working. And number 4 is Catherine Deneuve, the most iconic actress in the history of French cinema and the living embodiment of what French film culture represents to the world. Born Catherine Fabienne Dorec in Paris in 1943, Deneuve has made over 100 films, received the Academy Award nomination for Best Actress for Indochine, and collected virtually every major prize European cinema offers. From Jacques Demy's Golden, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, to Buñuel's glitchily erotic Belle de Jour to Travel, Polanski, Tchétchène, and Ozon, Deneuve has been the defining feat of French cinema for 6 decades. After suffering a stroke in 2019, she made a full recovery and returned to work. She is an irreplaceable cultural monument. And number 3 is Dame Judi Dench, the most celebrated and universally beloved British actress of her generation, whose Academy Award win for just 8 minutes of screen time in Shakespeare in Love is only the most famous chapter in a career of sustained extraordinary achievement. Born in New York in 1934, Dench has moved between stage, screen, and television with subtle mastery for over 60 years. She played M in 7 Bond films, Queen Victoria twice, and delivered her finest late career performance in Kenneth Branagh Belfast in 2021. She has fought advancing macular degeneration with the same quiet courage she brings to every role, a genuine national treasure. And number 2 is Sophia Loren, the greatest Italian actress in the history of cinema and the first performer ever to win the Academy Award for Best Actress for a non-English language performance. Born Sofia Villani Ciccolini in Rome in 1934, Loren grew up in poverty in wartime Pozzuoli before extraordinary beauty and ferocious talent carried her to international stardom. Her Oscar for Two Women in 1961, playing a mother protecting her daughter through the horrors of wartime Italy, was an act of total emotional devastation on screen. She has over 100 films to her name, an honorary Oscar for her life's work, and at over 90 years old she's still making films. There is truly no one like her. And at number 1, the greatest European actress of all time, is Danielle Day-Lewis. Born in Greenwich, London on April 29, 1957, the son of the British poet laureate Cecil Day-Lewis and actress Jill Bacon, Daniel Day-Lewis became, by any standard of measurement, the greatest screen actor of his generation and one of the finest in the history of the art form. He's the only actor in history to have won the Academy Award for Best Actor 3 times, For My Left Foot in 1989, There Will Be Blood in 2007, and Lincoln in 2012. He received 2 additional nominations. No actor, male or female, in the history of the Oscars has matched that record of peak recognition. His preparation for each role is the stuff of legend. For My Left Foot, in which he played Irish writer and artist Christy Brown, who was born with severe cerebral palsy, he refused to leave his wheelchair throughout filming, requiring crew members to feed him and carry him between shots. For Gangs of New York, he spent months learning to butcher meat. For Lincoln, he studied 19th century political speech patterns for over a year. For There Will Be Blood, he drew on silent film acting, Gene Huston, and his own imagination to create Daniel Plainview, arguably the greatest single performance in American cinema since Marlon Brando. And then, at the peak of his powers, After completing Phantom Thread in 2017, Daniel Day-Lewis announced his retirement from acting at the age of 60. He simply stopped, on his own terms, while at the absolute summit of his craft. He holds dual British and Irish citizenship. He lives in Ireland, away from the industry that has never stopped trying to call him back. His net worth exceeds $50 million, but has always seemed entirely beside the point. Daniel Day-Lewis gave cinema everything, and then, unlike nearly every other great performer in history, he chose to walk away before the flame could dim. And that has been the top 40 European actors and actresses of all time, 1960 to 2026, as counted down by KCA Production. From the fishing villages of Wales to the back streets of Naples, from the stages of Royal Shakespeare Company to the frozen landscapes of Scandinavia, Europe has given the world performers whose talent is simply beyond measure. The 40 names on this list are proof that the greatest art ever created is that of another human being, fully alive, on screen. Please subscribe to KCA Production and like and also share this with every lover of cinema you know. Hit the notification bell. We'll see you in the next one.